Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, hi, hi. This is the One Eye Era Festival. And if you are new in my world or to a training, go ahead and drop new in the chat. If you've never, been on a training with me or in any space inside my world, or if you're an OG and you're in the membership or you've been on the iConnect virtual conferences or any other of my spaces, go ahead and drop OG in the chat. New, good to see you again. Hi, Susan. Hi, Stephen and Vanessa, Caroline. Welcome. And Tim's on, Cheyenne, Catherine. Awesome. Hi, hi, hi. So again, just drop in the chat really quick if you are new, if this is your first time on a training or in a Zoom call with us, or if you are an OG, drop OG in the chat as well too. If you come to all the things and you've been in all the things, and we'll get started. There's people in the waiting room, and so Team iHesives just letting everybody in right now. And so I just want to give a moment for people to get in, but take a moment to even share maybe where you're zooming in from if you want to share where you are in the world. And definitely if this is your first time on a call, I would love to know. Michigan, yay, and we get to hear Caroline's story today. I'm so excited. She's definitely an OG around here. Hi, Alan, you made it. This makes me so happy. Susan, California. I'm in California too. It's been super hot. So happy to be here. First time. I'm in Panama. Wow, Aubrey, I'm glad you're here. BJSM, new mom of RB survivor, Chicago, new from Australia, Kentucky. Love it, love it, love it. Chico, California. Hi, iMaker. So glad you're here. Amazing. I am stoked for today. So we'll get right into it. We'll get started. Yay. Welcome. Again, this is the One Eye Era Festival. So this is a little bit different than some of the other trainings and calls that I've had. And so a few things I want to go over really quickly before we jump in is there is a Facebook group for this festival as well too. It's a private Facebook group just for us, and inside the Facebook group, there's going to be a little bit of homework I'm going to give you all tonight too. And so you can post the homework in the Facebook group. It's a great place to connect with one another, to hype each other up, to really take, this time and this space and what we learn here on this call today, and then like implement it into the Facebook group, get more support and ongoing support in the Facebook group. And go a little bit deeper there as well too. But the thing with the Facebook group, it's only going to be open for 4 days. So you'll all have access. It was in the link in the last email, and then it'll be in the link in the email again tomorrow that you receive with the replay of this video. And I'll drop the link really quick in the chat too, just so you have that available. And so you'll post the homework in the Facebook group. You can connect, hype each other up, have a lot of fun in there. And then the Facebook group will be closed on Sunday night, and we'll be moving into our next thing. Come Monday, I've got the iPowerment program. And so that'll be kind of the next thing. But I just wanted this space to be able to go a little bit deeper and not just like, oh, great, I heard a lot of things on this call. It was super motivational and inspirational, and I felt seen and heard, but it's like another element to this festival where we kind of like take it into a 5-day, pretty much a 5-day festival, and go a little bit deeper in the Facebook group there as well too. So, but remember, it's just a couple days, so it's kind of fast, it's kind of fun, it's potent, it's going all in, it's kind of showing up in that space, and then it'll end, and then we're on to the next things in my world around here too. So Facebook group, if you feel called to join and jump in there and connect deeper in there. And then the second thing, the iHesive team is on the call today. And so they're just gonna be helping on the back end if anyone accidentally gets unmuted or monitoring the chat as well too. And then just letting people in as well too, because I know some people will probably join in later as well too. And then they'll help monitor in the Facebook group, but I will be in the Facebook group. I'll be reading, everyone's homework and your post and the things that you share in the Facebook group. So I will be in there monitoring them. And if for some reason you can't find something, if you have any questions, everything's pretty straightforward, but if you've got questions, you can email the team at customercare@ihesive.com or reply back to any of the emails and it'll go to the team, and they're the best team in the world. They totally have your back if you've got questions or can't find something or need anything. So Team iHesive, big shout out. And then for the chat today, I know where I'll drop in where we're coming in from. I love that. And if you're new or an OG, I love that. And I do love engagement in the chat. And so on the conferences, if you've ever attended one of the iConnect conferences, we use the word iConnect. And so if you hear something today that really resonates with you, that you can relate with, either from me or from one of our 3 speakers going to be sharing on this call today, you can type in iConnect in Egypt. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. I love having people from all over the world. This just lights me on fire. Yes. And so you can, hype up the myself or of course the speakers that we're going to have sharing on this call too, with just typing iConnect or anything like that in the chat too. I love a lot of engagement and people, responding and interacting in the chat. And as far as questions go, you can drop a question in the chat and I will try to answer the questions as we're going or at the end of the call. Towards the end of the call, we'll probably have a little time to answer questions if the question's relevant to what we're discussing here on the call today. If the question's not, and it's maybe a better question for either the iPowerment program that I'm about to have or the One iEra membership, those might be, a place that you enter in later in your journey and get all of your questions answered as well too. But I'll try to answer as many as I can, or I'll let you know, or they can be, put into the Facebook group as well too, and maybe we can answer questions there too. But feel free to ask and I'll let you know if we can do it or not on the call. So loving all of this. So iConnect in the chat. And then the last thing, just to reiterate, we do have 3 One iEra members coming forth and they're going to share their story. And I'm so excited for them to be sharing on this call today and with all of you. And then we do have a winner for the iPowerment program. I did a live the other day and I said, anyone that shares this live will be entered into a giveaway. And I had, originally was like 3 people are going to win, but Terry is the only one that shared. Well, Vanessa, you shared. I know you shared the live, but Vanessa, you're already in the iPowerment program, so you get that. And then Terry also shared, so she gets access. And I don't think Terry's on yet. I think she said she'd be a little bit late, but congrats, Terry, for winning that. I feel like you win. She wins everything because she shares all of my things. So, and Vanessa, thank you. I do appreciate, the sharing and just kind of spreading the word and getting this space out for other people to come in here and get this too. So again, I love it and I appreciate it. And we will get right into it. That's all I had yes, thanks Vanessa, to share to get us started. So yeah, Facebook group, the chat, hype people up, hype yourselves up, in the Facebook group. Let's really take this next couple of days and go a little deeper with one another. And then the chat or the links in there, and also be in the replay video of this video when I email that out tomorrow. So, then my intention for this space, kind of what I was already sharing, is to go deep with all of you on this call and to, create these safe spaces to come together and connect. And that's always kind of been my intention. And, my journey after I lost my eye was I was like, scrolling Instagram and I was seeing a lot of like motivational content and inspirational, and still to this day. And I love, seeing that stuff, but I just felt like there was this element that was missing as far as going a little bit deeper and having these connections inside spaces like this. And so that's really, what I love to do is be able to connect and, go deeper in these spaces. And I want you all to be able to implement some of the things that I bring forward into your own life and have some shifts or perspective changes, or just see yourself in a different light and see your story and your situation maybe in a new light you've never thought of before. My intention also is that you get so much value from this call today and this space, and you love the stories that you hear and the people in this room and this energy. And then you decide that you feel like you want to continue on in either the iPowerment program or the One Eye Era membership, which I will talk about both of those later on and answer any questions. And that's like our ongoing, support and deeper place, even deeper than what we cover here on this call. And I will, like I said, talk about those later on. And so I'm just really looking forward to this call today, and we will get right into it. And so this call is obviously the One Eye Era Festival, but then the little tagline was like the portal to your personal power. And if you're in my world, I use the word personal power kind of a lot. And there's, I use it in my own life. And I feel like this is such a fundamental and the foundation of like where it all started for me. And so when I talk about personal power, I try to think of like new ways to add that into my life and extract the wisdom and share it with you all, and new ways to articulate this concept. And so I know some of you are on different journeys at different times in your life and navigating different situations, and this really comes down to everything in life, and so it really for me started, I didn't know I didn't know anything about this for the first like 30 years of my life. And then it wasn't until I lost my eye a little over 3 years ago, which I'm not going to get too much into the details of like how I lost it. I really want to talk about just the aftermath today and kind of this personal power, because when I lost my eye, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate if and again, it's anything in your life, that you're handling that can be really challenging or trying to overcome or navigate within relationships or families or career, or, putting yourself out there. It's like this piece of personal power I really, really felt when I lost my eye, because I felt powerless, and I'm sure you can think of a situation in your life where you have felt really powerless, and the questions of like, why did this happen? Why would this happen? Why is this so hard? Why is this frustrating? Why is things happening the way that they're happening and outside of my control? And so I was in that space, so much fear, uncertainty, unknowing of my future, of what I was going to look like, of what I was going to be able to do or not do. And, I was in bed for quite a long time between surgeries and recovery. And so I had a lot of time to think about things. And so, at first it was the spirals of like, oh, like this is so daunting and how am I going to get through this? And then I, at one point was like laying in bed and I literally had this conversation like, Shelby, like if this is so out of your control and out of your power, like what is in your control? What do you have power over? And as soon as that question came in, it was almost like a light switch, and I was like, wait, I do have so much power still. I have power in my thoughts, the thoughts that I have, the feelings that I create. I have power in how I show up, in how, I'm going to ask for help, how I receive help. I have power if I'm going to pick up the phone and call someone and let them come help me, at that time. And when I really started to look at things in this light of like, where do I have power in this situation? How I respond, how I react, the things I decide to do, the action that I'm going to take, and from there, I had that clarity for a moment and I was like, I need to meet someone that has lost an eye. Like, I know that's going to help me. And so I went to social media and I shared my story looking to meet someone that had lost an eye. And that was taking my power back. and I met a bunch of people rather quick. And when I was sharing my story, I noticed like, wow, this feels good for me to share my story, to connect with people. And like that again is in my power. I get to do that. And I'm not saying that you have to share your story on social media, but in your life or the things that you're navigating, it's like asking yourself, like, what is in your power, and the fact that I was able to think of things, it really opened up my mind that there's a lot more in my power than I'd originally, realized when I felt so powerless. And so then life continued to go on and I recovered and I got my energy back and I got, talking to people and I start feeling better and I start connecting with people and sharing my story and healing from that trauma. And as things are building and my business is building, and then I'm in a relationship and then things happen, health issues happen with my family and I'm on social media, and that can be challenging to navigate, and building a business, and if you have a career, and it's like, then life builds and it's like, wait, I need another level of this like personal power, of this courage. And so I realized that rather quickly too. I was like, oh, the same level of power I had at the beginning to just get out of bed, to have a routine again, to take a shower, wash my hair, make me feel better, to put my story out there. Like that was really, took some courage, and then to connect with people. It's like, but that level of personal power and courage is not the same level that I need today. And when I realize this again, it's almost like a staircase of like every time we hit like a new level or layer in our life, we often need another level or layer of personal power to get to the next step. And you can really look at that sometimes, and I've been there too. It's like, now that's daunting. That seems like a lot of work, or that every step, like, oh my gosh, or again, it's that looking at it like, wow, I get to continue to increase my personal power, which I'm going to break down really what that kind of means, and like there's like layers inside of that too. And so as I work on those inside my own life, I get to reach new levels, in my life and what I'm doing. And I get to also, I share this a lot too, get off like that hamster wheel. Sometimes we get in this like autopilot in our lives and we just let everything else kind of happen. And we're just living in this autopilot. And I've been here many of times, like pre-eye injury and post-eye injury, where I almost, and maybe you can relate to this feeling where you're like, I'm like sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Like whether you're burnt out, you have like stretched your capacity to a place of that's not fun, maybe you're feeling unmotivated or just kind of feeling like, is this it? Is this all there is? Like what's happening? And it's like we get to that place and we have that realization again. It's like, oh, this is where I need another level of personal power, another level of courage, asking myself, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? And during that time too, when I was really recovering from my eye injury, I had a lot of downtime, like I said, and I started to really, really contemplate life as well too, and asking myself and getting really self-aware and curious of like, what do you want to do with your life, Shelby? Who do you want to be? Like, what do you want to offer to the world? How do you want to show up? What's my existence? Like, what's the meaning of life? Like, I went deep. That's why I'm like, I want to go deep here with y'all, and I want y'all to be thinking about this stuff in your own life, because it's like that I went so deep in that, where I was like, wait, what what am I doing? Like, I kind of all jolted in a matter of moments from losing my eye, and I was able to use that downtime, and I still do that. Like, even though life is so fast and busy and there's so much going on, I know how important it is to slow down and really do those check-ins. Like, okay, am I doing the things that make me happy? Do I feel fulfilled? Are these relationships working? Are my boundaries working? Do I need another level of self-trust to get to where I want to go next? And it's like taking, just not like we have to analyze everything. And I don't want you to like question everything to where you're like overthinking all the time, but like slowing down enough to ask some of these questions, especially in times that feel more challenging, that feel like a harder or like not working, and I think these are important questions when things are going really good too, because I think there is a space of like overflow, like, okay, things are amazing right now. Like, how can they feel even better? And I think sometimes we get caught up in like, okay, things are so good that like this is all it should be. Like asking for more is too much, or going for more is too much, or greedy, or like I shouldn't do that. I should just be happy with what I have. And what really came to light for me too in the past 3 years and losing my eye is like life's like so short, and it's like we all have things inside of us that need to be shared with the world, and we have desires and we have these feelings, like these intuitions, and if we don't listen to that intuition, if you have a voice in you that's like, go for more, go for this, try this, like you want to do this, like I believe so deeply that's a calling, and it needs to be, you need to listen to it, you need to follow that and trust that, and it's really building that self-trust each time you do listen and you do go for that, because I don't think we would have like feelings of this sort if we weren't meant to. So again, slowing down and asking yourself, like, what's been on my heart recently? What have I been ignoring that my intuition keeps chiming into? And that can also be like like good things where you're like, okay, I have this like deep desire and I'm like a little scared to share it out loud. And that's also can be like, I know that this relationship or the way that this thing in my life is working is not the way I want it to be. It's like this boundary is not working for me anymore, or this thing that I once was available for, I'm just no longer available, but it's scary to cut cords or ties or to say that out loud or to really act upon that. But at the same time, it's like you're going to be in this autopilot, in this like powerless feeling, in this like area of gray, unless you make a decision, if you just go for it, if you just trust the process, trust the journey. And I say those kinds of things all the time. And I know they sound so cheesy, but that's really, really has been my experience, particularly in the last 3 years of like, I had this feeling to just share on social media, like in the hopes to find one person. And I've been following like a feeling ever since, and more amazing humans come into my life and more opportunities come into my life. I connect. Thanks, Susan. I'm glad you're here. Um, and so, but that's like really where it gets, this personal power piece comes in. Because like I said, it's scary to listen to these little voices and to like tell someone like, this is what I'm feeling, I want to try this, and they're like, you're crazy, or like that seems like a law, or that's too much, like other people's fears can sometimes project onto you, or you just feel like they're going like to judge you or shame you or not understand. And so that's where that other level of personal power comes in, to ask yourself, to get honest, like rigorously honest with yourself, like where maybe are you playing small, or where in your life do you want to put your story out there or show up more boldly, or thanks, Susan, I'm so glad that you're here. Or again, cut a tie on something that is holding you back or holding you down, and then being able to have the courage to move forward and to really to own that too. And what I want to get into, which is going to be a part of your homework as well too, well, and first let me go through kind of this deeper. Like I said, I wanted to break down the different elements within personal power. And I really think there's probably a million, but I just put together 8. And this is the 8 that we're going to go deeper into inside the iPowerment program, which is like designed for you to step into your like radically empowered version of yourself at every level, at any level, at the beginning, at the middle, and something new, something different. And so this really breaks down to like your boundaries, because this is, I think, if we're people pleasing, even if we're trying for perfection, if we are, letting things happen or to us, or letting people walk on us or over us, or we're just not holding boundaries, and our boundaries are allowed to change and at different levels as well too. And so really identifying your boundaries and what you're available for and what you're no longer available for, even if in the past it was something you were available for, but you're like, I'm not available for this anymore. And so personal power, when I look at that, it's like our boundaries. It's also our capacity. So growing our capacity in a way that feels good and aligned. It is like taking on the things that make us happy and fulfilled, and noticing when we're taking on too much, and being able to, again, set a boundary for that as well. Or, depending on where you're at and what you're striving for, like, there's often times where we really do need to stretch our capacity, and it's not a bad thing, and it's like, if we want to hold more, it's like we hold families and partners and social medias and our work and our and our friendships. It's like we already hold so much. And so being able to really confidently in an aligned and embodied way hold everything that you desire to, like, that's where your power is, to your personal power. And then, of course, leadership, self leadership is like, from start to finish, the most important part. Like, how are you leading yourself? How are you leading yourself when it's really, really good and easy to lead yourself? And you're like, yes, everything's working. This is amazing. And then how are you leading yourself when things are really, really hard? And you're like, this isn't working, and no one's listening to me, and no one understands me, and no one, and it just feels heavy. And you're like, what am I doing with my life? And being able to lead yourself through those situations as well, too. And being on this call and leading yourself to this call is like where it all begins. And just being in this space is like so powerful all on its own. So know that, like, when you lead yourself to a place like this, like, that's leadership right there too. And then one that I really love too, and this is kind of part of your homework, but like, is this be the one energy. So it's like, when we think about our personal power, it's like we often put ourselves down so much. Like, behind the scenes, we are talking bad about ourselves. We sometimes like shame ourselves still. We judge ourselves. We judge our past mistakes and our past failures. We, criticize ourselves. And so instead of doing that, we really work on like this be the one energy. Like, you are the one. You are the one to lead yourself. You are the one that like has the most amazing and powerful story that can help so many people if that's what you desire to do. You are the one that gets to live your life the way you want to live it. You are the one that gets to decide how you conduct your life. And so being able to anchor into that every moment, especially when you feel self-doubt or like lack of conviction, or you're feeling really uncertain or in fear, like, if you can tap into this place and you remind yourself like who you are and that you are the one, and the more you work on that, and is where there's this sorry. So be the one energy, and then self-trust. This one's huge too, because again, we can lead ourselves and trust ourselves in one area so well. It's like, okay, I trust myself to go to the gym. I trust myself in my relationship. I trust myself to go to work every day. I trust myself to, you can think about the times and areas where you trust yourself like pretty easily. But then we forget, like, okay, self-trust is deeper than that. It's like in all of the areas. Like, do you trust yourself with money, with investing, with betting on yourself? Do you trust yourself to put yourself out there to really step into who you desire to be? Do you trust yourself to lead yourself in a new area and a new level that you've never been on before? Doing maybe something completely different. And then the self-awareness piece is a lot that I talked about earlier, and asking yourself those questions and connecting with yourself really deep. And the other piece with self-awareness too, that we'll go more into on the iPowerment program, is looking at, and I shared this in the live too, that I did, like, some of the weaknesses. We all have areas of strength, and we all have areas that we aren't very strong in. And like, there's no shame, and we can look at those with self-awareness in a very neutral place. And we can ask ourselves, like, is this an area that I want to improve on? No. Okay, totally fine. I'm not going to. I'm going to delegate. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to just not work on that area because I don't care to, but not from from a place of like, oh, I don't want to because that's scary to work on that. You really just don't have any interest, or you have this place of like, this is an area that I feel a little weaker in. How can I get stronger in this area? Like, do I need to hire a personal trainer? Do I need to hire a mentor? Do I need to research something? Like, if I want to be better at creating content, if I want to be better at my health, at my fitness, in my relationships, in my communication, if I want to be better in my personal power, like, how can I level up and like look at these areas with self-awareness and in a neutral place and be like, okay, I want to get better at this. So I'm going to do the things that are going to help me to get better at that, to get stronger in that. And then of course, consistency. And there's, a lot that I think about consistency, because sometimes we get it, again, consistency. If we're just doing it to be consistent, we're going to feel like we're on that hamster wheel. We're going to feel an autopilot. Like, I just have to do this, and that's not the life we want to live, or I don't want to personally. I want to be consistent because it's important to me, because it matters, because it's taking me to the place that I want to go. So I look at consistency of like, okay, I have to do this to just do it because this person said, or Shelby said, or my mentor said, or my partner said. When I look at consistency, it's like, how do I get to a place, if this is something that's conducive and I know that the consistency is going to be beneficial for me, how do I get to a place where I'm consistent because I want to be, because I have a bigger context to the end game, to the end results? And then courage, of course, so I already talked a lot about that too, is just like those different levels of courage and noticing and identifying where maybe you're playing small, where you desire to have more courage, be a little bit bolder. Or there's just a situation that you're navigating that you're like, have to muster up some extra courage to get through. But like, honor that, like, realize like that is your power. You're stepping into your personal power every single time you take on more courage. And the courage too, it's like, not like, just because there's fear doesn't mean don't do it, but also courage is like the humility, the willingness to fail, the willingness to make a mistake. Courage is like not being perfect, the willingness to not be perfect either. And then of course the personal power in itself. And when I look at personal power, because I've grown so much in my own personal power and how I lead myself and my boundaries and my self-awareness and my consistency and all the things I just shared about, it has done something to the way that I view the world and other people in it. And I see everybody in their own power, because I'm like, if I can do it, they can do it, and even if, and it might sound funny because you're going to see someone, you're like, why are they doing it like that? I wouldn't do that. That's not how I think, and it's like, I'm able to see those people, everybody in their own power, leading themselves. And I believe in people so much because I've seen some really wild and amazing transformations. And so I just like see everybody in their own power, which gives me a lot of faith and trust. And I just like do my thing, and it helps me to not like wait or depend on other people, or to get approval from other people, or to like question what other people are doing. It gives me a lot more peace of mind when I can see everybody in their own power, because I'm like, well, I've done it. Like, and if I can do it, anyone can do it. And they're on a different page or a different path, and doing it in a different way. And so again, this perspective on how I view other people, and that doesn't mean I have to be friends with everybody or still agree with everybody. And I get to make those decisions through my boundaries and my self-trust and self-awareness and stuff that I talked about. But like, being able to really view people in their power and believe in people but hold this like personal power for yourself, and that you are responsible for your feelings, thoughts, reactions, emotions, really helps to come to this place of peace of mind. of self-love, of self-trust, of this journey of life. And I think a really big thing too, and I want to get into right before we kind of talk about the homework and before our speakers go on as well too, is sorry, I took some notes. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything too crazy. Okay. Okay. No, I forgot what I was going to say. So being able to work on these areas in your life and just view them and other people's personal power has really helped on my journey and at every level. And so what I love to do too, and what's really, really, really been helpful actually from the very beginning of my eye injury, and still to this day, I do this all the time, is like having a bigger context, a bigger mission, a bigger picture. You know, when I get so hyper focused in today and what I'm trying to do and accomplish and get done, and I want to lose the weight and I want to make the money and I want to have the relationship and I want to be here and get there. And I believe so fully in taking action and fast action and intentional fast action and moving and going for it. But there's always a bigger context, like a bigger mission. And when I think about like everything I'm doing today is building for that bigger mission, that bigger purpose in my life, it keeps me out of that like, it needs to happen today. Why aren't things changing today? You know, why I must be in the wrong. I must be doing it wrong. If I don't have that result by X, I did something wrong, you know, and we get caught up because of social media. And I talked a lot about this on the Happiness and Fulfillment Masterclass about comparing and you know, kind of the world itself and how we get caught up in in thinking we're doing things wrong when our happiness and fulfillment looks different. And you know, there's a different journey for all of us, and the way I do something doesn't mean it's the way you do it, and vice versa on this call. And so my bigger picture, my bigger context is what keeps me continuously moving forward, knowing that I'm creating a legacy, a future, you know, a thing for me down the line, and the things that I do today get me there. And when I look at my past is really what helps to like bridge that gap too. It's like everything is lined up so beautifully, like, you know, even the hard things that I wouldn't wish upon anybody, and you know, losing your eye. And I'm sure, again, even if you were a child and lost an eye, or it happened a really long time ago, you can look at things in your life. So it doesn't even have to be necessarily eye related, but looking at things in your life and being like, holy, like that really like fit into this puzzle in a way that at that time when it happened, I would never have imagined this. Like it somehow clicked and things aligned, and I got to somewhere that I would never have imagined if that one thing hadn't happened. You know, and so being able to look at your past and how it's all built into where you're at now helps to give freedom for the future. It's like you don't even know what's like building behind the scenes right now. And that's faith and that's trust and that's moving, because it's like you couldn't have predicted where you're at now from back, you know, at some point in your life when you were going through something really challenging. Who's to say what's about to come? And it's not up to you to really know when or how. And that's where I think we kind of mess this up, is because we want to know when and how and now, and I'm ready. Okay, let's go. And you can keep putting things in the chat if you're like feeling this, but it's like, okay, can I just look at my past and see how far I've come? Can I really, really, truly own how far I've come, own my story, own my boldness, my authenticity? And that's what I want to get into with the homework. So with the homework, and it'll post it in the Facebook group and in the email you'll get tomorrow too, but there's kind of 3 parts to this homework. And so you're going to post it in the Facebook group, and I encourage you all to be in there and to post and to just take this experience full on for the next few days, to check in there, read other people's posts, to hype one another up, to really see each other in that Facebook group. And you know, and it's only, like I said, for 4 days, and then the group's going to end there. And then, like I said, onto the iPowerment program. But your homework in there is to make an introductory post, but it's not just an introduction. I mean, you can definitely include, since I know a lot of us don't know each other, and so feel free to, of course, introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself, but I don't want this to just be, I said, we're going deep here. I don't want this to just be like, hi, I'm Shelby. I run a business. I help people that have lost an eye. I live in San Diego. I love yoga, walks on the beach, and I have a dog. I don't really have a dog, but if I were, things like that. I want this to be like introduction. And then I want you to really, really claim like everything that makes you, like all the things maybe you've done in the past, all the things that you've achieved. And you can break this into a couple different posts. If not, this might be a really long post, but up to you. So like going deeper, like what have you really done? What have you maybe overcome? What have you created? What have you built? Like, what have you just put out there? What are some of the things that maybe you've navigated that have been really hard in the past? And you're like, look at this. So I want you to own and claim like your space, like this is who I am and this is what I've done. And then there's one more part to this. And like I said, I'll put it in the Facebook group so it'll be really clear. It's kind of a 3-part thing of like introduction, claiming and owning your space and everything you've done and how you've gotten to this point, and with power, personal power. The third thing is sharing something. It can just be one thing or maybe a few things, but sharing one thing that you feel like has maybe held you back in the past, or maybe that you've looked at with a little bit more shame, and it can be something simple. You don't have to go into like your deepest traumas unless you want, but more like, what is something that at one point, or maybe you're feeling right now, like, I can't do that because I don't have this, or like, I see everyone else moving this way and doing things this way, but like, I don't move that way. I don't do it that way. And this is how I want to do it. This is the way I want to show up. This is the way. And I was thinking about this, so maybe this will help too, and use your own example, but it's like, I'm obviously on the online space, and I'm connecting with a lot of people there, and I see a lot, and I've come a long way, but I see a lot of like very eccentric and bold and very colorful like social medias, and just people that are well dressed and well to do people. And I started to think about this, and I'm like, I'm really quite simple of a person. I'm very, very easygoing. I'm outgoing. So that's not, and maybe that's something you claim. Like, I'm an introvert, and I want to claim that I'm an introvert, and I want to be okay claiming that with power. And so for me, it's like, I'm an extrovert, and I'll claim that, but it's like, I'm just so simple. And one of, I went and got my hair done on Monday, and I sit down in the chair, and the girl's like, how do you want your hair? And I was like, I don't know, like just blonde and cut it, and she's like, there's a million blondes. Like, Shelby, like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And I'm like, I don't know, and with decorations, like I barely could put some like our house is barely decorated. Like I
Today,
mean,
the meeting, I think, and I missed it.
really, really, really simple things. And I want to own that more, and how can I own that and not be like, oh, I need all of the extravagant clothes and I need the extravagant shoes and purses. Like, I've never owned any kind of designer purse, and I thought that like, well, maybe that's something I need to do, like that'll make me look successful. So just in your own life, like dig a little deeper and be like, what are some of these like funny little thoughts or like feelings that you see other people, and you think that like that's maybe what you need to do to get to X, or to feel more in your power. But claim where your power is at now, like, and know that like things can change just because you're in one season, and it's just like, doesn't mean that maybe one day I won't own a Louis Vuitton bag. I don't know, but it's like, that doesn't appeal to me right now. And so it's just because you claim it now doesn't mean things aren't going to change and you're not going to have a new perspective later on, or maybe if we're talking about fun eyes and prosthetic eyes, and you see all these people on social media with their fun prosthetic eyes, and you think that like, I need a fun prosthetic eye, I need to fit in, I need to, that's what, they're doing, that's the thing now. And but deep down, you're like, I don't actually want a fun prosthetic eye, or vice versa, and it's just like claiming that too. So there's 3 parts. I know there was kind of a lot when I talked about the homework, but I'll post it in the Facebook group. I really hope that you were able to pick apart some things out of this today and go and implement in your life, and definitely ask questions in the Facebook group. We'll kind of go deeper there, but make that post in there too, and start to implement this and start to ask yourself some of those questions, like, and get a little bit deeper and more curious. And I shared this on my social media the other day. It's like, I've never said I can't. I've always asked myself, like, how can I? That's been since the day I lost my eye until now. And I still lean into that. It's like, how can I make this work? How can I get more support? How can I pick up the phone and call someone that has the answer? How can I invest more? How can I get better at something that I'm not really good at? How can I, reach more people? How can I change the world? How can I show up the way I want to show up? So just that one simple thought, like anytime you catch yourself maybe saying like, I can't, just change it for a moment and say, how can I? And see what unlocks in your mind. And like we start thinking outside the box and we're like, kind of like, well, how can I make this work? What would I need to do? What would I need to move in my schedule? What would I need to cancel? If there's other plans, what would I need to raise money? Could I, like, how could I make this work? And it's like, I shared kind of a funny thing with that post, because it was like, at the time, my living situation when I started my business wasn't like the most ideal, and I didn't have a desk or any space to put a desk. And so I literally, put my table on the end of my bed and took coaching calls for like a whole year. I don't know if you knew that, Cheyenne. I think Cheyenne's still on, but I coached you from like my bed desk, I called it. Cheyenne was like one of my, first OG clients back in the day. And and it just like, there was a moment in myself when I started to do the business and coach people. I said to myself, like, I can't, from a bed desk. I said to myself, like, I can't, I don't have a desk. Like, how am I don't have space in my house. Like, how am I going to do this? There's just no way I can do this or take Zoom calls. And I paused and said, Shelby, how can you? Like, how can you make this work? How can you just do it and not be afraid to maybe look silly, or not be afraid to have the perfect background, or not be afraid to have the perfect curated feed, or have the perfect, whatever it is, like, project that you're working on. Like, just how can you put yourself out there and really, really just lean into that, own it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, claim everything you've done up until this point, and that's where you find more and more power at each and every level. All right, so we are going to move into our guest speakers. I love that, Cheyenne. Cheyenne's going to be one of our speakers tonight too. So I'm so excited, but I'm going to put really quick the links for the iPowerment program and the One Eye Era membership. I'm just going to drop them in the chat. We'll have our speakers go, and then at the end, I'll ask any questions or answer any questions that you have about those. But if you do sign up for either the iPowerment program or the One Eye Era membership on the call, put it in the chat, because we want to celebrate you for joining. And I just want to say this really quick too, because if you join the One Eye Era membership, you get the iPowerment program. So, and the membership is like, stay forever, cancel at any time. There are 2 member calls a month, and then plus there'll be a 3rd call weekly for the iPowerment program, and everything's recorded and you'll get access to it. And it's the iPowerment program, similar structure to this. The One Eye Era membership, I deliver on something, and then we all chat and talk and do hot seat coaching and go a little bit deeper on Zoom with one another. And then again, the iPowerment program is designed similar to this structure, where I'm leading on a lot of those topics that I brought up about boundaries, about self-trust, about self-awareness, getting deeper with yourself, or I said that. Now I'm like forgetting all of the the structure, but the things that I've talked about, but in here deeper on boundaries and self-trust and consistency, and the be the one energy, and owning and claiming and being yourself and being more audacious and authentic. So I'll drop, this one is the membership. Again, if you just jump in there, you'll get the empowerment program. But if you want just the program on its own, you can jump in here. I'll answer questions at the very end. And if you join on the call, let us know because we want to celebrate you for joining. So now I have 3 members from the One Eye Era membership going to come forth and share their story. And so I'm super, super excited. Please keep giving them love in the chat, saying I connect when you hear something that you can relate with or that just really maybe hit home for you, and give them lots of love and support. And Cheyenne is our first to come forth. And I just, well, maybe I'll say it afterwards. I just dearly love Cheyenne, and to witness her journey. You know, like I said, I coached her from my bed desk. So this is back at the beginning. And so we've been in each other's worlds for a very long time. And I'm an honored to be in your life.
I received a lot of coaching while I was in jammies and not feeling well and in bed and in the car on the way to surgery. So there were lots of times when I was not in a necessarily, I don't know, typical spot to receive coaching. So yay, yeah, I know you can see it, right? We'll get to that. All right, so I'll start here. Hang on, let me start my timer because I'll yap for all night if you let me. Alrighty, so I'm Cheyenne. My journey started about 2.5 years ago. We're getting close to 3 now. We're getting there. I lost my eye in a car accident. It was a pretty traumatic loss, but I feel like it happened fast. I went to sleep, I woke up, and my eye was gone. My journey really started, you know, when you wake up and you realize your eye's gone, and then the thought of, okay, how's this going to work? How do I do this? Can I drive? Can I do everything I used to do? That was like the biggest, you know, the hardest questions to ask yourself. So I immediately started scrolling, you know, Instagram, similarly to Shelby. I started Googling, like, what does this prosthetic eye look like? What is this process? Like, how do I get one of these? When you look at eye loss and you Google it, you see these people who have these beautifully matching prosthetics. And I was like, okay, so it says 8 weeks after surgery. I didn't factor in my own journey to this. And that was kind of where I started kind of really struggling, because my eye socket, because of my injury, I needed more time. It wasn't a typical just take the eye out and put an implant in and move on from there. So initially I touched base with Shelby very early on in my journey. I was maybe 2 or 3 months in and found Shelby, thankfully. And we started working on just the me portion, and inevitably that kind of spilled over into, you know, everything else in my life. But we started working on just me and my sort of attitude and kind of view on what was happening. Through the process, I got the implant. My body rejected the implant. My eyelid, you can see everyone saying congrats on the eye surgery. My eyelid was closed because of the trauma. This little sucker just didn't want to open. So my hope of getting a prosthetic in 8 weeks was dashed several times. I have only had my prosthetic about a year, and I've only had my eye open for about 3 weeks. So it's been a long process. Immediately I wanted to be normal. I wanted to put my twin eye in, and I wanted to look back to normal. I wanted nobody to even know that this had ever happened. That was my goal. I started, I just wanted to pretend that this didn't happen and ignore it and just move on with my life. That was not in the cards for me. And fortunately, I had Shelby to help me along in that journey. She helped me to slow down and kind of process thoughts one by one, have more realistic expectations for what's happening. And rather than focus on the end result of being normal and having this prosthetic, dealing with one thing at a time, with, you know, making an appointment at the ocularist to start with, to even know what an ocularist was, because that wasn't a part of my Google search. There's a lot of parts of it that you just don't know. And there's so many things that I wish that this existed for everybody who's ever lost an eye, because there's so many things that you're like, why isn't this working? And that was another roadblock that I hit almost immediately. I hit this brick wall of, why isn't my journey the same as everybody else's? Why am I not getting my prosthetic as fast? Why is this not working? And because I had to kind of slow that down because of the different complications and the different things that I had to do to make my eye ready for a prosthetic and to get it to open, I was forced to kind of move really slow and be very purposeful in my journey, and I learned to celebrate the tiny things that happen. So out of my 3 eyelid surgeries, the first one didn't work at all. It closed almost immediately, so that was a lot of fun. The second one opened a little bit, and that's where everybody saw me at the meetup. It was open just a little bit. If I raised my eyebrows, it was a little bit more open, but now you can see it's great. But I was excited because I'm like, I'm making progress in any kind. I learned to be very grateful for. I learned to ask for help. That was something that I still have trouble with. We're still working on it, but being able to say, I can't do this. I mean, I'm the kind of person, the person that carries all the Walmart bags in at once after you get back from the grocery store. That's me. Your arms, your circulation gets cut off in your hands because it's too heavy and, you drop everything. That's me. And my grocery bags were always full. My emotional grocery bags were always full. And I didn't have a lot of, if you haven't spoken with anybody who's ever lost an eye, nobody really understands the things that you deal with, the depth perception, the different, you have questions like, is this going to hurt? How's this, this next surgery, how's this feel? Did that work for you? That's something I can ask my surgeon about, just having that, the ability and the community of a bunch of people who've gone through so many different things. You're bound to find somebody that's gone through something similar. So that was such a huge help. Let's see. Sorry, I made notes here. So part of my getting back into what I was doing was being able to go slow, and Shelby helped get my confidence back with all of the things, because I was concerned. I'm thinking, I was an avid fisherman before. Am I going to be able to see? I had a hard enough time tying my lures on before, and now I can barely see, and I've got this depth perception thing, and I'm struggling. And I was terrified. Like, I don't know that I'll ever be able to do this again. And one day I decided that I was going to try, and then I just never looked back. And now I've since picked up quite a few different unusual activities that I never thought I would after before losing an eye. And now I've done it since losing an eye. So that's been a lot of fun. So not to question my abilities to do anything pretty much that I want to do was something I was struggling with. Another thing, I'm kind of trying to bring it back into how this has all been helpful for me and how I could not possibly have done it without Shelby. So if you get tired of hearing about it, I'm sorry. I'm not really that sorry. Let's see. So because of Shelby, we have this lovely community. We have all of these people who, a lot of you probably seen on TikTok. I don't go a day at work without somebody sending me some TikTok or some Instagram reel of somebody that I actually know. I was in Washington with you guys, and I was actively being sent reels, and they're like, oh, look at this person. I'm like, she's sitting right here. Like, it was the funniest thing to me, but it's hilarious that people, and that was, we'll go back to that too. That was another thing that was very helpful for me, was that I was able to find ways to relate to people, because I was afraid of what people thought. I was afraid of what people might think. Would they second guess my abilities to do my job, to go on a hike, to be taken fishing with them? Like, would they think that I'm just like slow and a liability and not able to do the things, like if they have to do everything for me? So I was terrified of a lot of things. And then having all these people who, lots of them have been missing eyes for a very long time. Rachel has been, and Sunshine, they've all been missing eyes forever. And it's almost like it's just a non-issue for them now. So that helped a lot to see it in action, to watch them and be able to just kind of absorb their confidence in it, because it still makes me nervous. I hid behind my sunglasses for a year and a half. I didn't go anywhere. It would be dark outside. I would be walking into Walmart at 10:30 at night, and I'd still be in my sunglasses looking like a weirdo. It didn't occur to me then that was far more distracting than my eye ever could have been, but it's fine. I finally had a little girl ask me or say something about it in the store passing the other day. That's the first time anybody's ever said anything. And I was so scared. I remember lots of our conversations were, what's the worst that could happen? What is your biggest fear with somebody saying something about your eye? What feelings do you think that's going to bring up? Why are you so afraid of this? And I didn't have an answer. I never really knew. I couldn't think of like worst case scenario, what it would be. Cause I might get my feelings hurt, something like that. It finally happened. And I really wanted her to say something to me, and she didn't. And I was sad, because I'm so excited now to like show people, yeah, I'm missing an eye. Look, it's sparkly. Like, it's cool. I think it's fantastic. And that was another part of now we're moving into like current times, things that are happening now. Now that my eyes open, I'm so excited because everybody can see my fancy eyes. I knew pretty early on after I got my first prosthetic that my eye was not going to look the same. It's a little crooked. It's a little bit differently shaped. It's just not the same. And it doesn't move. It doesn't blink. So having my twin eye in there just kind of stares at you. And that makes people nervous. And hell, it makes me nervous too. So I knew that I needed a fun eye. I knew I needed something sparkly without an iris that didn't draw attention, more attention. I want to draw my own attention. I want people to stare at it for no reason. So I was so lucky and so fortunate that iMaker was able to make me my first 3 fun eyes. And I have been wearing them nonstop ever since. I have not put in my regular eye since taking my ID picture, and it was the most amazing thing to be able to take my sunglasses off and kind of look around and see what are they going to say? And I get mad when people don't say anything. I walk past people and deliberately make eye contact with them because I'm like, do you not see this? Look at it. Ask me a question. And if you had told me 2.5 years ago that that was happening, I would have probably laughed at you. And I know that Shelby probably saw that, like the end game and like where we were headed, but I never could. And I can't say how grateful I am that I've been able to finally get to a point where I'm not just comfortable with how it looks and how I feel and how I exist. I'm outwardly projecting, please ask me about this. Please say something. When we came back from the meetup, we got sent back with a little book of all the eyes that Christina's made. And my niece and nephew were looking through it and they were picking out eyes. If I lost my eye, I want that one. And I'm like, that's a very strange thing. You're strange children. But it was kind of cool because now if they go to school and somebody's missing an eye, it's not going to be strange to them. It's not going to be something that they're like, oh, let's make fun of this child. It's not going to be, oh, sorry. It's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be, hey, my aunt has one of those. Do you know, something like that, where that's more relatable. And I think that's ultimately the goal, where it's just less of a spectacle, or maybe like, hey, I have one of those too. My nephew forgot that I had one, and he met somebody with a prosthetic eye, and he was telling me how cool her eye was, and I was like, Mario, what? So it's really funny, you have the people that make more of an issue about it, and then people who just forget. My eye's been like this for 2.5 years, and he forgot. So anyhow, I'll wrap up here pretty quickly and turn that off, for crying out loud. And just say how grateful I am to be where I'm at, and to also offer all of my gratitude to Shelby and everybody else. I see Tim and all the people along the way that have been a source of support, whether it's just Instagram reels until we finally actually got to meet and and hang out, and for bringing me to all these people, for bringing me to Rachel, who was like, we are the same person somehow. Like, it was the coolest thing to meet her and be like, okay, this is great. And the reason I started putting on makeup again was because of Chan. I had not touched this eyelid. I had not put mascara or eyeliner or anything on this eye. I was terrified to touch my eyelid. I just didn't want anything weird to happen. And here she is doing before she had her eye removed, doing the same thing. And I'm like, if she can do it with a closed eye, I can do it too. And the first time I did it was about a year ago, for a wedding, and I finally put it on there. And so it was really kind of fun to kind of come full circle and meet Rachel, and just have all of these strange connections that I didn't know were there, but are there now. And just have all the things. So thank you, Shelby. Thanks for listening to me ramble, everybody. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Cheyenne. I just love hearing your story, and just like I already said, like witnessing your journey. And I was just with Rachel again 2 weeks ago, and she just loves you so much. She was like, me, Cheyenne and I are like the same person, and we have the same energy, and I just like could feel it, and I knew like she's just amazing. So, and to see how far you've come and not hiding behind your sunglasses and really like owning where you're at in your journey and being like so invested in this community and of support. Like, I mean, I see you commenting on people like, I got you, we got you. What questions do you got? And so I just like, I love that interaction that, you know, you have and holds in this space. So thank you. Oh, Susan, you're sending just me messages. So if you, not to call you out, but if you click on the little like blue button, the down arrow, and you hit meeting group chat and click that, it'll send it to everybody because no one's able to read besides me. Oh, that's okay. But Susan said good job and thank you. But I wanted to make sure that you saw and heard that. But it's just going to me. Totally fine. Okay. Thank you, Cheyenne. Just love it. And then click them. Okay, and then Kat is going to come up next and share her story. Here's
Hi.
what other power to get teary.
So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I am Kat. I'm in Dallas. And I feel so intimidated because I'm so much newer in this than many of you here. So I do want to start out by saying thank you so much to Shelby and Cheyenne and Caroline and Tim and everybody that have provided just so much love and encouragement through this journey. So I'm excited to share my story. So mine starts at a few months old. My dad saw a mass in my eye. He saw a cloud in the back of my eye and took me to a doctor. And I don't know, there was never an official diagnosis, but there were many, many surgeries. There was a retinal detachment, there was a bleed, there was a subsequent surgery, there was all, series of things. Never an official diagnosis for what exactly happened, but suffice it to say that I lost vision. I could really only have like light perception. But I just my family and I pretty much ignored it and went on with life. And so that all happened when I was just a few years old. And then I just carried on as if nothing had ever happened. And so my eye would get a little bit lazy when I was tired or if I had too much to drink, but really other than like up close, I had, we called it looks like a cat eye. It was just like my pupil was more of a sliver, but so other than up close, you really couldn't tell that there was much going on there. And so I always just kind of pretended that there wasn't anything going on there. And so I did all the things. I played all the sports. I was a competitive dancer. I did pageants. I did all of the things. And I just kind of went on with my life and pretended that none of those things had ever happened. I think I overcompensated a little bit and was always trying to prove something to myself. Or I don't know who I was trying to prove it to, but I needed to be the best at absolutely everything. I needed to be perfect. I needed to be the best. And so I think that kind of followed me, but it wasn't until much later in life that I really kind of realized that I think that was kind of the root of that. So fast forward to as an adult in the last few, like literally decades later, I didn't know that my eye had been deteriorating. And so I knew that there was pain, I ignored it. And then I also I have an autoimmune disorder. And so about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I started having some very extreme symptoms. And so I had really severe arthritis in my wrists and hands. I had really bad migraines. I was having horrible pain. I was breaking out in hives every single day, just all these really bizarre side effects. And I have worked in health and fitness for over a decade. I had started my own fitness company. I have run 15Ks in the mud. I have been in, all these competitive events. And so it was just like my body just revolted and I had no idea what was going on. And I felt completely like betrayed by my body. At the same time, I didn't connect the things, but my eye was also really, really deteriorating. I did notice like a visual difference in the eye. So the eye started drastically shrinking. The pupil was changing and literally moving in my eye. It was crazy. I was developing calcium over the eye, and just the internal, like internally it was very swollen. And so I had just extreme inflammation in my eye and really all over my body, and my body was just going haywire. So to the point to where it was completely unbearable. I went and saw my ophthalmologist, and I had 4 days to prepare for surgery to remove my eye. So in those 4 days, being the overachiever that I am, I decided I was going to be the best at eye loss that anyone had ever been. And I was going to learn everything you could possibly learn and do it as well as, to do everything perfectly. And I had a plan and I had a schedule, and it was going to be just like Cheyenne said, it was going to be 9 weeks, and I was going to get the eye and all the things. And nothing quite went that way. And I was going to be fine in a couple of days. Luckily, in the few days leading up to my surgery, I just was Googling and scrolling on like social media and looking up eye loss and enucleation and all these different things. And I found the social media eye loss community, and I found Shelby, and I, connected with her and started following all these content creators that had shared their story. And it was just like, I was just trying to like desperately learn absolutely everything I could about this experience that I was about to go through. So I actually joined, I think 2 days after my surgery. It was like two or 3 days was my first meeting, and I was all drugged and had the big thing on my face. But similar to Cheyenne, not quite, but I had the plan, and nothing has gone that way necessarily. And so I've had to deal with, inflammation has slowed things down. I've had some stitches that got messed up, just all the different things. And I did not recognize like myself. I didn't recognize my body. I didn't heal in the way that I thought I would. I didn't have, I talked to Shelby about how like I just felt like I felt betrayed by my body. I felt like I didn't know, and I was sleeping like 10 hours a day. But then after some time, like, and I think, really through this group and through encouragement of so many of you guys, I was able to shift my mindset. And I really had this kind of like aha moment of, oh my gosh, what a beautiful, incredible time this has been. And so like I had time to like, what other time in your life are you forced to essentially just stop moving and slow down? And I had this time to reconnect with friends that, were supported me in ways I never imagined that they would, just really like showed up for me in incredible ways. And, my daughter's birthday party was 2 days after the surgery. And I was like, I can't have a surgery, but it's my daughter's birthday party. And my friends just showed up, and they decorated, and they did all the games, and they just like, they did everything. People brought me food, just the way that my coworkers showed up. I was able to reconnect with my mom in a way that I had never connected with her. And so it was a really healing time for our relationship. It gave me the chance to really like reset and say, okay, what is working in my life and what isn't working, and have perspective on that, and have a chance to say, okay, like I'm kind of getting to start over in a lot of ways. And so, what do I see as valuable, and like, what is my vision moving forward? How do I want that to look? And so, I mean, I'm 5 months in, so like this, I'm still very much a baby in this journey. And so I'm speaking from, I feel like still the middle of it. But it's been a really neat time to be able to step back and think through all those things, and some things that I've really received from this group. I mean, having this community, and having a community that understands and can, like Carolyn was sending me like the drops to use, and like Cheyenne's, like everybody just like sending funny things and encouraging me. And I use humor a lot to cope. And so I'm always trying, like making a joke about things. And I think a lot of times I give off, like, it doesn't bother me at all, and try to just make it funny. But there are days that have been very hard. And there have been days where I have felt great and empowered. And those are, sometimes the same day. And I just have appreciated hearing everyone else's story, and it kind of normalizing, and like, see, like Cheyenne said, like seeing the content creators and being like, okay, one of the hardest things that happened was when my conformer fell out for the first time. And I was like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I handle this situation? This is the most appalling, traumatizing thing that's ever happened to me when it fell out. And I hadn't seen what was under there yet. And, and I was able to connect with other people and be like, oh yeah, when that happened to me, that was just, oh, that was so hard. And, I was just, those sorts of things have been, I think, life-changing in what this experience has meant to me. And being able to put myself in situations intentionally, because some of these conversations we've had, I've been like, okay, the more that I make myself uncomfortable in some ways, and made myself, when I didn't want to be seen out in public, or when I wasn't, wasn't sure I felt ready to go out and be social, but thinking about what do I want long term, and what are the steps I need to take to get there. And sitting in my house and hiding isn't going to get me to that life. And so some days that's what I need, and some days I do prioritize rest and reflection and taking care of myself. But I then always step back and try to say, okay, but what are my goals for this? And so it's also given me this great perspective of, my family and myself. Like I just kind of hid the fact that I was essentially blind in one eye for most of my life. And, in losing the eye completely, I did lose what I had left. And so there's been a little bit of adjustment, but not quite the adjustment of like losing the eye suddenly. But I, it was such a topic we just didn't ever, it was just one of those things we just completely avoided, brushed under the rug. And so having this kind of new perspective on it, that this is really can be more of like a tool and a gift, and something that I can use and channel into something for myself and for others that is really positive. And so that's been such a cool, like, new realization for me. And so I'm a matchmaker. I'm a professional recruiter and a professional matchmaker. So I just wrote a blog about dating with a disability and what that looks like, and different approaches that you can take. And I think, Shelby and I are talking about different ways that we can use this with our group. And then also, disability, losing an eye, and how that looks in the workplace, and how that can work in different work settings, and perspectives to take on it. And so I'm really excited about that. That's given me kind of a new, rather than something to be ashamed of. And now I'm like, okay, no, this is a strength, and this has given me something that I can channel energy to into and get excited about. And so it's like given me this new, like, okay, this is fun. This is a purpose. And one thing that Shelby's really shown me, and many of you and y'all have showed me, is just how you lean into this. And it's with anything, like how you lean into it and how you present it is how it gets mirrored back to you. So like if I'm feeling, like if I feel like it's something that I'm ashamed of, or I'm something that is a weakness, that's how it's mirrored back and perceived by those around you. But if I'm like, no, like, this is fun, I'm gonna get a fun, like I'm about to send my fun eye to eye maker, and I'm so excited. I like lay in bed at night thinking about what it's going to be, and it's just so exciting. So exciting. But I get the opportunity to like change the story and like change the narrative for myself. And then that's what's been really reflected back to me. And so I've had so many people, just from like the very little I share on social media, just like write back and be like, I'm so glad you've shared this so I can ask questions, and so that I can be curious, and I get to model for my daughter what that looks like, and how to show people how to make people comfortable in those conversations. But I don't have to make people comfortable. I can also just do what's best for me in that moment. And so we've gotten to have some good conversations about that as well. And so anyways, I'm starting to ramble, but I'm so happy to be a part of this group. And I'm so thankful to be with all of you, and that I got to share my story today, because this is the first time I have really shared it with a group. So thank you for bearing with me.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was amazing. And you're beautiful and it's good to just see you. Yeah, see your whole face. Yeah, you did amazing. And it's so awesome to witness. And I can't believe it's been 5 months either. I think Kat had like
Crazy. It feels like forever, but also so not long ago.
not long. Yeah, I was like, because I jumped like I feel like quick. I was like, you're like, I'm having eye surgery, and I'm like, come, like, come into this group. You're like, okay, day 3 or 4, you're like in. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, we're honored that you've been here. We've all been a part of your journey, and you just really opened up. And I look forward to the future. And I want to read that blog too. I'm sure, and if I could share it with everybody when you get it ready or when there's a link. So yeah, we're excited for your fun eyes. And yes, thank you, Kat. I loved that. So amazing. Also, Cheyenne, I'm pretty sure your entire time you were speaking, the video was pinned on me, which means that like while it was recording, it's just my face with you speaking. So technology. So maybe just pop if you're not busy, just bring your camera back on and then like say something and wave just so they can put a face to the name because it was my face.
You're asking an awful lot of
I
me
know, I'm
to
sorry.
do the computer things today.
I know, it's terrible. I was like, oh my gosh, I think so. The whole time it's just my face with your voice sharing your story. So now whoever watches the replay at least gets to see.
Fun. I mean, that's fine with me, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think well for you all, but I think on the recording end, it might be weird. But anyways, whatever happens, it happens. But I'm glad, yeah, everyone here saw. Okay, amazing. All right, thank you. And then we have Caroline coming up next, and she's our last speaker. That's going to come forward and share her story on this call this evening. And then, of course, like I said, at the very end, we'll talk about options to move forward and any questions you might have. Not the entire time, just the beginning. Oh, wait, I just read that. Sean. Okay, perfect. All right, Caroline. There we go.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, video's good.
All right. Well, hi everyone. Just first off, just want to say like to Cheyenne, I was just taking notes on everything, but the fact that your confidence is so radiant, it's so great to just see you speak about it. And it's a really good like plus for everyone in the community to see. And then also like Kat, I'm blown away because we've had some side conversations, but I never realized how short it's been for you. So already like getting out in this community and like you look so happy right now and you look so good. So like all congratulations to you both. It's so fantastic to see. For me, I kind of come into this community with a little bit of a different perspective, like where a lot of people, you lived a portion of your life with both eyes, and then unfortunately something traumatic happened and brought you into this community. I was always without an eye. I was born in a hospital outside of the US and developed staph infection like coming out of the womb, I was told. I don't really know any background. It wasn't a well-run hospital. So I've just never had that experience of two eyes, which creates such a different environment. It wasn't until I was 30 that I honestly even knew that other people existed like me. Like obviously logically, but I had gone 30 years without meeting anyone, wearing the same eye without any change or anything for at least 15 or 18 years. Like I only just got a new eye that fits me better like a couple months ago. So finding this community, it just really helped change the vision I had for myself and just learn how much further I can go, because when you go your whole lifetime not knowing that other people are charging ahead and maybe relate to you, it's so like shattering in the best way to find that group. So this has been amazing. I remember like crying the first time I just sat in a meeting, didn't even say anything, but afterwards it's like, wow, these people are so cool. They're doing so much. Like, look at everything that they're doing, but they're not letting something so in the end of the day minuscule affect you, but also so gigantum at the same time. A couple of people were talking about like getting out of that embarrassment or the uncomfortable spot. And I do think there's a lot of like confidence when you let yourself gain from this to just push yourself out. So many people stay in their embarrassment, but it's like, well, you can already look so different to people regardless. So you might as well just own your life and try to find what makes you that unique version of yourself. And that's definitely something I've started working on now since I've found this place. So a lot of things like that. I definitely love just the confidence I see with everyone with their fun eyes and how they're able to just really showcase their personality. And it's something I'm personally working on. I would love to get there one day, not there yet, but would love to be there. Kind of do what Kat does sometimes and dream of like, what would I want it to look like? Here's an idea. So yeah, it's things like that to just finally find a community where you can connect with people regardless of how you lost it. We all lost our eyes or have vision impairments in a very unique and personal way. But even then, it's nice that you can still find people to chat with and connect with. And it just kind of brings me back to right now. I've talked with Shelby a little bit, but just like, why would I want to hide when it's already noticeable? So it's getting to that point of just full acceptance of it, because I'd always accepted it, but I never really realized how many people I could find like me. So I just never really was loud or vocal about it. If people asked, I would tell them, but it was more of like, I don't need to share my story because if I can stay hidden as long as possible, then that's better. And it's been a fun and interesting journey trying to shift that mindset of like not being over the top and vocal, but at least not trying to hide the fact that something happened to me and I've lived this way for a while and I'm trying so hard to be normal in a sense, but no one has a normal regardless. So might as well just embrace it. So yeah, I think just that is something that I've personally just been on of that confidence journey. And just thinking back to all the times as like a young child being like, I know I'm different, but I don't know how I'm different because I've never known any other life than this. And then just getting that chance to like connect with people and having that. So kind of short and sweet on my side, but another thing that I think a lot of us start getting to is learning how to advocate for yourself. That's something that definitely I didn't really learn as a kid. And now coming into it, being 30, I'm learning to not be embarrassed when a group of friends is walking up to a table. I don't have to be the first one, so I can snag the good seat. So I'm not on my blind side. I can just walk up with my friends and say, hey, I need that chair, because that's the only way I'm going to feel comfortable talking, because I'm not literally blinding everybody out. So just having that like ability to step back into your power and advocate for yourself has been something that this community has really helped me find, and start realizing that it's perfectly fine to ask for and in a sense demand for. There's nothing wrong for advocating for yourself and not being ashamed of what happened. So short and sweet.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I learned new things about all three of you already. Like every time anybody shares in the community, I always learn something new about Terry. That just went to me. I think Terry said I connect as well too. And yeah, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. And I realized this wasn't planned, but you all three have such different stories, and you're all three at very different stages. Like we're talking about injury a couple of years ago, we're talking about very recent with Kat, and then we're talking about lifelong. And so that worked out really quite perfectly for this call to be able to kind of share all different stories and journeys. And I didn't even realize that was what was going to happen. So it was beautiful to hear everyone's story and where you're at now, and like to be in this Zoom room together. That's like what trips me out too. And I think we've talked about this probably on our group calls, but it's just like the fact that we're all sitting here and how, it's unfortunate how we got here often, but like the fact that we're all here and like our paths were supposed to cross and we were supposed to meet each other and be sitting here on a Wednesday evening together for some reason that maybe, again, there's a bigger picture still that we don't even know from here. And so I'm just really, really appreciate everybody that came forth and shared their story today. It means a lot. Everything has a purpose. Thank you, Susan, Cheyenne, adore you. Amazing. So amazing. So, hold on one second. I'm gonna just reiterate a few things, and then if like I said, if anyone has questions, feel free to hold on. Why isn't this? I really don't know how to use Zoom, and I should because I use it so much. Okay. All right. Yes, the speakers did amazing. So I'll reiterate, I'll drop the Facebook group one more time in here. And again, it'll be in the email. So the email will go out tomorrow morning with the replay, the Facebook group, but you can get in here tonight if you want to, no pressure. Like I said, the goal, or the idea was just to like turn this into a full festival. And so we're going to make it a couple days and it goes all the way until Sunday night. I'll close the Facebook group Sunday night. So just really potent, impactful. I don't want it to drag on too long, but I just want everybody kind of in there, taking some action, sharing your story. If you didn't get to share, on the live call and you want to introduce yourself and connect with all of us in there. And then, again, share a little bit deeper as far as what do you want to claim? How do you want to take up space? What do you want to be maybe known for? Really owning how big of a deal you are, your story is, the things that you've done, and then claim maybe something that you've been really afraid to claim because it's different, or because you've been ashamed of it in the past, or because you thought I can't claim this because no one else is, so look for those pieces in your story and where you're at today, and just allow yourself to be bold and audacious and vulnerable and open. And, what I'm saying, take it as feels good, but maybe you lean into a little bit more courage inside that Facebook group for the next few days. And, I'll be in there hyping you all up and then spreading some love too. So, and then we'll close that Sunday night. Monday is the iPowerment program. So if you're already if you're in the One Eye Era membership, Terry, you didn't hear me because you were on, I know you just jumped on, but Terry, you won the iPowerment program. So that's an 8-week program where we will go deeper and deeper into this and building this up into your own life and in your own situations as well too. So if you want to join that, you can join that alone, or again, you can join the One Eye Era membership, get the iPowerment program, and then we do 2 group calls a month, which, you've heard from 3 of the members. Tim's also a member, Greg's on, Vanessa's on. So we've got a handful of iMaker is a member. So we've got a handful of members on. I saw Hannah. And so that one is a little bit more of open space where we do connect and talk over Zoom and kind of process things and open up and share as a group and go a little bit deeper in that as well too. So some options, obviously, if that feels aligned and like a really good move for you, or you want to just test it out and try it out, that's a no strings attached situation as well too. So you can come in, kind of explore a little bit, and then either leave and come back or stay for the era, like I said. And yeah, so those are the next 2 options to move forward in this journey, or, of course, wherever we're connected on social media, I love, the support and the connection there, or connecting with the other members out there as well too. Does anyone have any questions about the iPowerment program or the One Eye Era membership? That's okay. Terry, you're totally fine. That happens to me all the time.
I'm sorry.
How are you? Also, we'll get an email come Friday for the iPowerment program. Like I said, you won that for share. You always share all the stuff. So I feel like you win all you win all the stuff. So I love that you share everything.
Oh, yay. I'm so
Yay.
excited.
I
I'm
love it. I love
excited.
it.
Thank you.
Yay, yeah. You've been in the challenge, so love that.
Yeah. And I appreciate anyone who like gives input to anything that I've posted or shared, all of my rants. Sorry, but I do appreciate the advice and all of that and the support. So thank you guys so much.
Of course, we're glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Through, okay. And I'll drop again these links just so you have them in access, but they're in the emails too. And then, gosh, I'm like sweating. It's so hot over here. And if you sign up on the call, let's celebrate you. And if you've got questions, let me know. Or if you think of questions later on this evening, or tomorrow after you watch the replay again, just feel free to email customercare@ihesiv.com and the team has got your back. And I look forward to like hearing what everyone posts in the Facebook group. I know it's a little bit different doing homework like this and in the Facebook group, but I hope some of you do the homework and are willing to, be a little bit different in there, kind of maybe the mindset of like, it's private, it's just for our group. And so using it as more of like this playground of like, all right, if there is no rules, if there's no one that's judging me, everyone here gets me, like, what can I really like claim? Like, how can I lean into some of those like edges and that space that feels like I've been kind of hiding or covering up or feeling a little bit. No, so the Facebook group is for this One Eye Era festival, and it's just for the people, the festival, but the Facebook group closes on Sunday. So it's open now, so you can join, and then I'm going to post the homework in there. You'll have a couple days to do the homework, which is kind of making that post, and I'll list everything out for the homework. A couple days to just be in there, interact with one another, connect with one another, hype each other up, read other people's stories, see how they're like leaning into their power, maybe sparks ideas for you. And then the Facebook, that particular Facebook group will close Sunday night. And then we'll have a new one for the iPowerment program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Drew. But yeah, no, this Facebook group's for everybody. We don't have a Facebook group for the One Eye Era membership yet, but that might be something if we want that. But I feel like we do a lot in Telegram and in on the live calls, that right now it's just not part of it between the live calls and the Telegram. Amazing. Well, it was so good to have all of you on. Carrie, it's good to see you again. It's been a minute. I know you've been to some iConnect conferences. Thank you, Susan. It was so good to meet you, hear the stories. I really appreciate it. If anyone needs anything at all or has any questions, we had a lot of new people like Melissa, Regina, I'm not sure if we've connected. Alan, I am so glad that you were able to make it on tonight. I really, really hope that this was helpful for you. I know where you're at in your journey. And so I hope that hearing some of these stories today helped you a bit. So I'm glad you're on. Oh, I like your background. Look at so awesome. Oh, I said it right. Okay, good. It's like, hopefully I'm saying this right. Yay. Well, I'm glad that you were on as well too. I would love to, connect with everybody somehow on social media too. I like to connect over there, so you can make sure to connect with me there. And Aubrey, I think, where did you say that you were zooming in from? Did I probably saw? I know we had people from all over the world in here. I saw like Egypt, I saw Australia, of course, all over the US, Texas, Panama. Yeah, that I get so blown away whenever we host these calls. And that's like the beauty, you know, of course, of social media and Zoom is like the fact that we can connect with people in Australia and Panama and Egypt. And the other day I like, you know, I've got the merch that says One Eye Gang. And I, you know, anytime I get an order and I sent a shirt to like New Zealand, I was like, oh, like, you know, to someone I don't know, but they have like, you know, we're all over the place and we're all here on a similar journey. And it, like I said, in a post and kind of promoting this space, it's like, for me, it's like we get to connect because of our vision loss and like our, whatever that means in your life, maybe prosthetic eye removal, blind eye, or some sort of vision loss in one or both eyes. And that's what connects us here. And we get to be in this space and understand each other. But for me, and I know a lot of you too, as you've been showing up, it's like, I realize this more and more. I'm like, it's so much bigger than that. You know, it's really, really like using this space to become like our greatest version of ourselves. And again, whatever that means in your life and like the impact that you want to leave, you know, and I say, you know, whether you're just leading yourself or you're leading, you know, children or a family, or maybe at work, or you have desires to lead something big on social media or in your business, it's like being able to like do that together and powerfully and in your personal power is really what it's about. And just continuously checking in with yourself and making sure that you're happy and you're doing the things you want and you're not afraid to go out, or you're not like using you know, the things that are challenging in our lives as like crutches. So we kind of give you that push, that little love and shove, so that you are doing the things that your heart really tells you to do, and you have a foundation because you've got all of us in the community and in the One Eye Era membership and in the other spaces. So you've built building the foundation so you can go out and fly and do the things that you really, really enjoy and feel like you have answers the whole way through when things maybe aren't adding up or not working or feeling more challenging. So I love it. Alan, thank you everybody for sharing your stories. It's been a struggle for me and it's inspiring to listen to you all. Yeah. Thanks, Alan. I'm really glad that you were on tonight, because we know that struggle. You know, I think if we're on this call, we've all been there at one point or another. And sometimes we fall back into that even, or it takes longer. I think, you know, that's a big thing that you know, everyone's journey looks so different, and sometimes things do take longer than we expect or we want them to, or they're harder than we want or expect them to. And like to find acceptance around that is again where that power sits, because once we find acceptance and we step into like being able to see power in our story for even being different than others, is like when we get to move forward with that power, that conviction, that knowing, and working on that behind the scenes. Go Alan, go. You have a big support team now. Yes. Amazing, amazing. All right, well, everybody, I guess we kind of ended a little bit early. Unless anyone has, I wanted to have time for questions. And so if there are no further or any questions, I want to make sure you knew next steps, if that was something that interested you, and then the homework. And of course, we'll stay connected in the Facebook group over the next 4 days, but make sure you get in there quick if that's something you desire to do, because like I said, it's just 4 days. So I don't want you to miss the window of being in there with everybody. So just make sure to log in and get in that Facebook group and do the homework soon, you know, over the weekend or tomorrow. And hey, everyone goes at their own pace. Yep. Love that. Hey, have a good night, everyone. Thank you again. Thanks, Susan. Amazing. So that completes our call. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for those of you that shared, Carolyn, Kat, and Cheyenne. We got lots of C's and K's. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I hold you for like 1 minute after?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Bye. Bye, Aubrey. Nice to meet you. Glad you were on. And Stephen. Carrie. Amazing.
I just wanted to hold you and talk to you about I'll send you the blog.